Hello participants, I invite you to lecture 28. It is on fertigation. We discussed in micro irrigation components parts. So, we gave in the components in the head control unit, the water is supplied from the source with the help of pump, and then depending on the quality of water, it will pass through filter. It will pass through, maybe if the water it has got lot of silt, then water may be stored in the desilting basin. Then we will have a fertigation unit followed by set of filter, and it will come to main pipeline, sub main pipeline, the drippers, etc. So, here one of the important component in micro irrigation system is fertigation. So, in this lecture we will be discussing about the importance of fertigation, how the fertigation development has come over time. So, this deals with the fertigation history, what are the advantages and limitations of fertigation, and what are the major types of fertilizers which can be supplied in using micro irrigation system or through micro irrigation system. If we look at precisely on the definition part, so fertigation is precise application of plant nutrients with irrigation system. In the crop root zone, according to the crop requirement during growing season of the crop. Fertigate means we are giving fertilizers, in fact all chemicals which are required for the plant, that can be injected with the system. So, fertigation, chemigation can be also it can be done by using micro irrigation system. Chemical means it is best practically when we are giving water, this is a chemical fertilizers which are dissolved in irrigation system. When we see means when the water is being given with the help of a drip emitter, what you see it forms a wetting bulb. Now, when water along with the fertilizer both are means the plant root receives water and fertilizer. So, it is within the root zone system. So, this is the way how the water is moving, the way water front is moving, the fertilizer will also move, and at the same time and it will be in the same location. So, in fertigation, fertilizer application is made in a small quantity. This is the beauty that means as the water is given in a small quantity, fertilizer is also given and in frequent dose. So, at the plant water requirement, food requirement, when it is at the early stage, it is less in the quantity. So, this should be also fed in the same way. So, and frequent dose that fed within the scheduled irrigation interval, matching the plant water use to avoid leaching, because water is given in a precise quantity. So, it does not go beyond the root zone depth. So, leaching is avoided. A right combination of water and nutrient is the key for high yield and quality of produce. In order to achieve greater crop production, it is required to supplement nutrient by adding chemical fertilizers and nutrients. Over the years, it has been found that to get the the greater the goals of agronomic and aesthetic lustrous, we need to provide water with fertilizer together. So, fertigation allows selection of nutrient input as it is needed wherever it fits. The prescription means, yes, it is like we are giving the human health, we are giving prescription. Here also there is a prescriptive dose, what should be the amount of. So, it should be it is given as per the prescription, and what should be given in the initial stage, in the development stage, in the maturity stage, like this. So, in the same way it should be the amount of fertilizer, it should be given in as per the prescription, time of the year, as well as saving in operating money. When we are giving in the so there is nothing like any over fertilization or under fertilization. So, we save the money, we save the energy requirement which is added for giving fertilizer as well as water. So, it is a safer application method, and it eliminates the danger of affecting roots due to higher dose. This is a common problem when we are using the conventional method of water as well as fertilizer application. Now, if we look at the literature, and from the literature we find that fertilization of gardens was done as early as 400 before Christ, and then the first liquid fertilizer patent was made in 1899 in US. In 1942, the anhydrous ammonia was given as a injection dose, and then what we find that in 1953 the first liquid fertilizer plant was established for ammonia, application of ammonia, phosphoric acid and potash in USA, as well as the first reported application of commercial fertilizer through sprinkler irrigation system was done in 1958. So, like this is the historical development. Then in 1974 the US had 2,800 number of fluid fertilizer in plants. These were there, and then the ammonium nitrogen solutions, which is 32% of the US fertilizers, these were given in the liquid form. Then fertigation with the liquid fertilizer in grapes and banana, it started in 1993, and then slowly it has been realized that the fertigation means giving water along with the fertilizer, it is giving better results in horticultural crops. So, Israel started doing in 1994 onwards. Now, in conventional method of irrigation means we are just broadcasting the fertilizer in the solid form. So, means the plant gets higher dose than it requires, number one, and then the weed growth, because as the water as well as fertilizer when it is coming, so weed is also a problem. So, which also and that compete with the plant. When we are giving the fertilizer along with the the water through drip irrigation system. So, what we find the plant uptake, the uptake rate of the plant, it enhances, and that is giving better response. So, here the what happens if the fertilizers are applied separately from water, means that is the common practice when we are giving conventional irrigation. When you are giving separate, one cannot get really good results. So, when pressurized irrigation systems are used, fertigation is not optional, but it is absolutely necessary. In drip irrigation, if as we know, when we are giving water, particularly in horticultural crops, we know that we are irrigating, we are giving water to 30% of the root zone area. So, only 30% of the soil is weighted by drippers. So, fertilizer will remain here only in the wet portion. So, the full benefit of the fertilizer will not be made available to the plant. So, fertilization efficiency decreases because the nutrients will not be dissolved in the dry zone area where soil is not weighted. So, full benefit of the using the drip irrigation will not be achieved. So, fertigation is absolutely necessary to the crops when we are giving water with the help of a drip system. The fertigation is important component. Now, here this particular picture you can see here, if we are giving water with the help of conventional irrigation system, the water as well as fertilizer, when it is being given, you find that the water and fertilizer, these are depercolated fast, it is not available. So, this is the way the rooting system it develops. So, when the water as well as fertilizer, it is given with the drip irrigation system, you can see the density of rooting system. So, it develops optimal moisture as well as aeration condition. The compact root zone save the plant's energy. So, better intake of nutrition take place when irrigation is given with the help of drip system. Now, in case of drip system, the limited root zone with drip irrigation system. So, nutrient reservoir is 30% of the total area. This is what we see, that how the wetting bulb it forms. So, creating limited supply of organic matter and mineralization products. So, higher depletion rate in wetted zone, because the nutrient uptake is fast, because of the frequent supply of nutrient is needed. Now, frequent irrigation interval avoid leaching and the loss of nutrient. This is happening in case of drip irrigation. So, whereas broadcasting method of the fertilizer application, that is the solid fertilizers, when it is inefficient, it does not give the fertilizer to the plant, rather either when the water is being given to the flood irrigation and then broadcasted. So, what will happen? It will form runoff, and then through runoff process the fertilizer will be going along with the overland flow, or it will go beneath the root zone depth. So, these are the some of the advantage which are listed when we are giving the fertilizer along with the irrigation water. So, drip irrigation, there is a less compaction, and then it requires when we are giving fertilizer, there is a reduced energy requirement, there is a reduced labor input, you do not have to use labor for giving, and then even distribution of nutrient also it takes place, and application of nutrients it matched as per the timing for which the plant requires, it can be given. There are disadvantages in the when drip irrigation system, which is when we are supplying fertilizer. So, what happen? The drippers are sensitive to clogging, because drippers are having small orifice sizes. So, outlet size is small, and then when we are using fertilizer, there is a chance of the precipitation of certain chemicals in the water. So, there is a chance of so one has to be take care about those chemicals which has got the limited your precipitation problem. It may require expert design. Yes, this is needed because if the fertigation system, whether it is fully operational. So, this needs some knowledge initially, but over the year when the skill is developed by the farmer, by the constant use, this can be this is not a serious thing, it can be taken care with the time. Potential contamination hazard from the equipment and malfunction, this is a chance that if the backflow preventing device is not installed, then it is likely that it may start the contaminating the source of water. So, backflow prevention device is must. Not all the parts may be available locally. Now, in India, this used to be the problem earlier, but slowly this system, the benefit of the fertigation system, benefits of the micro irrigation system is realized. So, that problem that there are quite a good number of companies as well as dealers are available at the block level. Now, things are coming. So, this is not a serious issue for implementing micro irrigation system. There are some certain characteristics which which are needed for the fertilizer, that it should be the high nutrient content in the solution. It should be fully soluble at field temperature. It should be fine grade and flowable, means it should it should not form the deposition in the water or in the container. No clogging of filters and emitter. This is a requirement for the fertigation when we are using certain fertilizer and when we are using. So, it should have no clogging filters, low content of insoluble material, and then minimum content of conditioning agent. It should be compatible with the other fertilizers. So, one should know the chemistry of these fertilizers. This is a important aspect one should learn, and minimal interaction with irrigation water, and no drastic change of the pH. It is means the value of chemical which is added with the water. So, it is ranging from 3.5 to 9. So, that should be also seen, and then after you are adding, it should not means the fertilizer. So, it should not be highly corrosive. So, that may not affect, that should not affect the control head units or components. Normally, we are using nitrogenous fertilizer, potassic fertilizer, phosphatic fertilizers. So, nitrogenous fertilizer, when we are applying, what are the nitrogenous fertilizers? These are ammonium sulphate, and then you should know that what is the nitrogen content in this type of fertilizer. So, urea has got highest nitrogen content, it is a 46%, and it has got the solubility of 1100 gram per liter. When you are using ammonium nitrate, it is nitrogen content is 34%, and then the solubility it is 1920. So, this is highly the soluble, and then calcium nitrate is another compound which can be used. So, most of the commercially available nitrogen fertilizers are readily soluble in water, and they do not have any problem for fertigation. So, they can be very easily used for fertigation. Phosphatic fertilizers could be dicalcium phosphate. It has got high phosphorus content of 52%, but the problem is solubility. So, this is the one problem. Monopotassium MAP monopotassium phosphate, it is 52%, the solubility is problem, this is only 340 gram per liter of water, it needs to make it dissolved. Monoammonium phosphate, it is 48%, and then it has a means. So, as you see that phosphoric the fertilizers, these fertilizers are having problems. So, this is to be taken care. As far as this, you need to have enough water to dissolve in the water. The potassic fertilizers could be potassium sulphate, you can see 50% K, and then solubility is also a same thing type of thing, that 110 gram of in means 1 liter. Like this you can see here the how the solubility it is with the potassium chloride, potassium nitrate, this is 44%, and this is commonly used fertilizer to meet the requirement of nitrate as well as potassium, potassium sulphate, this is another. So, potassic fertilizers are also best suited for fertigation. These are micronutrients which are commonly used for meeting the requirement of the plant, and depending on the particular kind of a particularly, let me just tell you, in the lateritic soil there is a zinc deficiency in the soil, manganese deficiency. So, one has to know that what are the deficiencies, and then what should be the amount of fertilizer that should be added depending on the knowing their nutrient concentration, and then how much amount of water it should be added in to get the adequate the solubility. This is a very important chart which is required. This particular chart, it says about the compatibility of different water soluble fertilizers. So, you see here urea, ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulphate, calcium nitrate, monoammonium phosphate, monopotassium sulphosphate, and potassium nitrate. Now, when you are say seeing the urea, so when urea you are mixing with the ammonium nitrate, this is compatible. When it is you can see here urea is compatible with all types of these fertilizers. Then ammonium nitrate, it is compatible with all kinds of these fertilizers chemicals. Then ammonium sulphate, this is also compatible except calcium nitrate, it is low compatible. Calcium nitrate one cannot mix with the monoammonium phosphate, because this is not compatible, it will form. So, whether it is a monoammonium phosphate or whether monopotassium phosphate, this is not compatible, one should not mix these two fertilizers. So, here NC refers to the non-compatible fertilizers. So, one should take care when we are making these type of fertilizers when we are using. The fertilizers evaluation for suitability to irrigation. So, these are the parameters which are to be taken care and based on the how they are suitable to irrigation. So, one is your solubility, it is always a question mark, that how good soluble it is in water. Second thing is the another parameter is precipitation, does it form precipitation. So, this is the another point, how compatible a particular fertilizer is with other fertilizer, whether it has got acidic property, whether does it form corrosion. So, these kinds of things are important. So, you can see here ammonium nitrate NH4NO3, it is highly suitable, it has got low precipitation, it has got good compatibility with other fertilizer, it is a medium from the relative point of view, it is with the compatibility is concerned. Similarly, you can see here about the This is your NH4 that is ammonium sulphate is another compound. This is medium soluble, but it has a problem of high precipitation and poor compatible, poor corrosion. So, these things are important when we are considering a particular type of fertilizer. Let us say this is the one fertilizer potassium nitrate, which is commonly used. This is a medium, it has got medium solubility, it has got low precipitation, it is the medium compatibility, and as far as it is a good to the corrosive property, means it has got less from potassium nitrate is considered a good. Same thing is your H3PO4, that is the phosphoric acid, it is a good fertilizers which is used, or this is your monoammonium phosphate. So, these type of fertilizers they are used, but this has to be understood properly, and then the system is to be flushed immediately after reuse, so that it does not remain fertilizer does not remain in the system, and it will have lesser effect as far as the corrosion is concerned, as far as the precipitation is concerned. There are some fertigation safety device. So, it is a important device in it is not only simply for fertigation, but even for the when we are using the irrigation system. So, there is a chance of getting air locking, and so atmospheric vacuum breaker is required when we are using this in the system. And there is a check valve, you are seeing this is the one we are coming with the different types of valves. So, one of the valve is a check valve. So, water can go in this direction, you are seeing here the water can go, this is but the reverse entry of water it is not done. This is the double check valve assembly. You can see here how the water is entry takes place. There is a shut off valve, there are check valves. So, shutting off the supply as well as checking the amount of water which is flowing, this is done. So, this is the another device which is used. This is the another kind of double check valve which is provided in the system. So, these kinds of systems are valves are used when we are using fertigation device. One should use some of the precautions. These are very important because we are introducing chemical with the system, and we have got certain advantages when we are using fertigation system, but one should use carefully and follow the precautions which is important when we are using doing successful fertigation system. So, operating pressure variation should be minimum in order to achieve uniform mixing of nutrients and irrigation water in the drip system. The other part is compatibility of two fertilizers. This already I have given you in the table, that when we are using two fertilizers, one should see there is a minimum or there should not be any precipitation that may cause a problem of clogging of drip emitters and filter system. Then to eliminate the entry of solid particles or dissolved particles of the fertilizer, in a small screen strainer is used at the end of the suction line. So, in order to prevent the entry. Now, adjustment of the water pH should be made time to time. This should be checked frequently. This is always needed, and particularly when we are calling of hydroponic system. In hydroponic system, the adjusting the chemical dose where we need to know that what is the pH of solution. So, at that time the fertigation unit is very important unit that should be used. Pesticide and chlorine should not be injected in combination with the fertilizer system. Chlorine is normally used to prevent the clogging part or cleaning of the system. So, this should not be used when we are giving fertilizer solution, means when we are fertigation, this should be done after the fertigation is done. To remove the undissolved particles and precipitates, the fertilizer injection point must be at the upstream end of the filter system, so that the adequate filtration can be done. Irrigation and fertilizer injection pump should be compatible to prevent entry of fertilizer in the irrigation line. The control for motors of both the pumps should be electronically interlocked. Check valve should be installed in fertigation injection line to prevent the backflow of water from irrigation system, so that it does not contaminate the source of water, that is your irrigation means water, because this irrigation water may be used for drinking of cattle or livestock. The check and vacuum relief valve should be installed to prevent the water or mixture of water and fertilizer from draining or siphoning back into the water source. So, this is of course, I am just certain point these are being repeated, which I have been telling here. So, we covered all these things, and then for more details please refer these books as well as these internet material, which will give you more insight about the fertigation of the system as well as fertilizers. So, let us summarize this particular lecture. We discussed about the concept and then the how the history of the fertigation it started, and then what are the importance of fertigation, what are the advantages and disadvantages of fertigation system, and then the different types of fertilizers, the nitrogenous fertilizers, potassic fertilizers, as well as phosphoric fertilizers and their characteristics, nutrients, safety precautions, all these things we discussed. And now in the forthcoming lecture, these fertilizers whatever I have discussed, how it can be injected by different irrigation method. So, we will be discussing in forthcoming lecture. So, thank you very much for your patience hearing.